Think of your favorite brand and think of them getting in touch with you to say, hey, we would like to send you some things. We would also like to pay you to receive those things and create some content around it. You'd be like, what, me? Welcome back to my channel. Over the last videos, I've talked a lot about photography tips, working with clients, improving your photography content. But in this video, I wanted to talk about the business of content creation. Because ultimately, when you are working with cameras in a photography sense, it's very easy to sort of maneuver into the vlogging world. Let's get into it. Working with brands that you love as clients and planning the work. The reason why I say working with brands that you love is because that's how I like to work. I specifically like to work with brands that I already either know and love, or they're a brand that I would buy from anyway. So maybe I didn't know about them before, but I might have heard about them from someone else and I would have been ready to purchase from them anyway. So let's say you're in your content creation journey and you've reached the stage. Guys, sorry, if I'm talking funny, it's because I've got aligners in. My teeth were parting ways. Yes, now I've got aligners in to bring them back together. That's a whole different video. My speech is a little bit different than usual. So you might be in your content creation journey and you might have reached the stage where you are being approached by brands, or in fact, you are pitching to brands. AKA, you are approaching brands to work with them. Those are all little different topics on their own, but let's just say you're here now. You're with the clients, you're doing the work. How do you plan for the work and how do you make it authentic to you and be in alignment with them and their values and their goals? You might notice I'm wearing some accessories and I'm wearing an outfit. These are brands that I work with. I love it because, think of your favorite brand and think of them getting in touch with you to say, hey, we would like to send you some things. We would also like to pay you to receive those things and create some content around it. You'd be like, what, me? When I first got my first brand collaboration, I was like, ah! The things that I wanted when I first started content creation started to come into fruition. What I thought would happen, happened, and continues to unfold. At first you start off with unpaid collaborations and then you have your rates, so then you start charging for it, and then you're at a place where you're making, you're happy with the money that you're making. That's all subjective, of course. So, you got to think about where you came from, where when it first started, you just did something because you loved it. And you were like, I'm doing this for no reason other than to have fun. And then next thing, it starts to convert into this thing where you're like, I can actually do this for a living? Like as a side gig, or maybe quit the job that I don't love. It's very, very possible. If you're in this space because you're keen and you love it and you're just like, when's the next step? What do I do? Hopefully this video helps you. I didn't necessarily have this information when I first started and I want to pay it forward. How do you plan? The first thing that you normally get is something called a brief. A brief is a document that sets out the expectations of the project or the exchange. So the client, oftentimes, especially if it's paid, they already know what they want. They know some of the messages that they would like you to share. And it's just information, For example, if someone gave me a cup, and as it turns out, this cup was sustainably sourced, or it's recyclable, or they're having a sale, like that's very useful information because we're not just putting this in the picture, So it's just information that helps you communicate better. That information is often put into a brief. And then the other thing that you got to think about is yourself. Like, okay, I know that there's a bit of an area where sometimes people feel like, oh, it just feels so icky, I'm promoting, la 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 la. But that's why I was saying when you work with brands that you love, you don't feel icky because it's just like you telling your friends about something that you love. Like if you saw a really good movie, you would tell your friend about that good movie because you want them to experience it as well, right? Like you don't want them to miss out. Or if you found the best pizza in the world, you're like, guys, we need to go to this pizza place and we need to eat this pizza because it's the best pizza in the world. And that's the same thing with working with brands that you love. So when you work with brands that you love, it's very organic. But of course, there's the part where, because there's an exchange of services or products, there's a professional component that you have to meet. So they have specific things that they would like you perhaps to communicate, and there are specific things that you want to say, hey, I want to stay authentic to who I am, what my brand is, and what I put out to the world. And so looking at these messages, and you go, okay, how would I apply that? So normally when I receive a brief, I look at the deliverables first. Like, I look at the messages that need to be said. Sometimes it might be said, we'd like this to be mentioned, you know, at the end of the video, or we would like this to appear 5 times within the content. Or they might just say, oh, we're happy for you to do anything that you want, as long as there's no swearing, there's no nudity, you know, things like that, and the video is within this time frame. And that is exactly how it goes down. That's the transactional part of the relationship. And so I look at the brand, their brand values, and what they would like from me, and then I look at my personal brand and what I care about. I care about authenticity, I care about being educational, I care about being a positive impact to the world. And so I align those things, and then I start planning. So I like to work on pen and paper, or sometimes just in a document. In that pen and paper document, I would write down the goal just to remind myself, what is the goal? And then the next thing that I would write down is how and when would I present this? That's pretty much it. So I'll think about how the product or service fits into my life. Side note, you might find that the products and services are already in your life, because like I said, if you're using brands, if you're working with brands that you already know and love, let's say the brand is a makeup brand, you're already using the makeup. So you would just pan it out that way. I use this every day. But if it's a product that you're like, for example, like a product that you want to show first, like the actual product without your face, and then there's another part where there's your face, and then there's another part that you're talking about the product, and you've got, like, for example, this one, right? So the way that I made the video is that I just wanted to be completely honest about my styling journey. That was an idea that I came up with, and because it's true, my styling journey has been a journey. And it was the first time that I was really able to put it into words. But in order to plan that video, I kind of had to dig deep a little bit. I wanted to dig a little deeper because my particular channel isn't just about things. My channel is about, you know, the things that I love, but where that love and passion for it comes from, what the purpose of those things are in my life and in my operation. And so I thought, okay, in order to align the things that I would like to share with the audience and what the brand would like me to share with the audience, it was just like important information for everybody to know. It's like the information that got me interested in the first place. How would I say that in my way? So then I take some time and I brainstorm. Now, when I first started my YouTube channel, it was very unplanned, very ad hoc, or very documentary style. So there wasn't a lot of planning before. What would happen is, especially for documentary style, when I'm doing like hotel tours or like travel videos, is I would do the research after. That kind of, I mean, at the end of the day, whether you're planning before or after, the point of the matter is you're going to plan because you want to impart the right information. So in this case, when it's client work, I like to pre-plan. It just makes it flow a lot better. I write down the most important things that are important to them, and I write down the things that are most important to me. And then I enumerate some different shots that I want to do. Sometimes I just do this in my head if it's just, you know, if it's very simple, just chat to cam. But if it's something where I have to display the product and then sort of talk about it, I personally like to show my community the products, because I'm a visual person. So when I want to, like, when I'm thinking about trying something new, I want to see it. And so for me, I kind of plan out how I want to show you, how I want to show my community things. Am I going to do some close-up shots? Am I going to put my camera on the tripod? Am I going to ask someone to film a small segment for me so that the camera can be moving and I can be moving? So I note those things down, and then I record the video. As I record the video, I tick things off my list, or I record the video, then I stop, and then I look back at the list of things that I wanted to do from my plan, and I tick things off. I do that before I finish the video just to make sure I haven't forgotten anything, especially if I had to, you know, set some things up, that sort of thing. So it's very much brief, then you plan, then you record, then you check, and then you start editing, and then you submit it to the client. And then you might be, the service that you provide might allow for things like revisions. Revisions means that you're allowing the client to see your work first, and then they'll give you some feedback, and based on that feedback, you might tweak your work, make some final edits, and then submit it back. And pricing wise, let's say if you were doing this as a business, normally even with creatives that I've worked with, so whenever I hire creatives like editors or someone who's doing some post-production work for me, they always specify for me how many revisions can be included in one project, because obviously you might go, here's the final work, and then there's like 5 revisions, and 5 revisions will take you much longer than 1 revision, and 1 revision will take you much longer than no revisions. That's just another note about, doing creative work, because creative work is very subjective. I hope you enjoyed this video. This video is, it's about vlogging. I'm a vlogger, so of course it's about vlogging or photography, but it's more of the, I guess, the monetized side of content creation, because I think in this day and age, content creation, not a lot of people understand what it is and what it even is about. But the people who've been interested in getting into content creation, I know there's a lot of curiosity about, okay, it takes a lot of time to create content. How do I do that and also do my job, like do my work, like in my day job or whatever? But if you really love it and it's something that you want to transition into, you definitely can. And when you make the decision to do so, you'll start to understand the business aspects of it, because vlogging is really fun, but a lot of people go, I stopped vlogging because I just got too busy in my life. But if you really, really love it, you really, really love vlogging, there's actually a way that you can transition, from hobby and passion into something that, you might start doing a side hustle for. A lot of people need content. A lot of brands need content as well. So I feel that the industry standards are still in the stage of being built. Like, brands are getting to know what they're looking out for. Creators are getting to know how to operate as a nice business, as an authentic business, and as a profitable business. So it's a really interesting space to be in right now that those standards are being built, but you can actually be part of creating that standard when you enter this force. So I know that on this channel, there are a lot of creatives, people who have creative passions, and people building, side hustles and businesses. And there's also a lot of travelers, people who were, flight attendants back in the day, and during the COVID time stopped flying and were thinking, well, what am I going to do now? And I don't really love the idea of 9 to 5 office work. What do I do? This is a kind of role where you have, I guess, freedom of space. Like, you can work from anywhere. I've said this in one of my videos. I'm not really interested in becoming a digital nomad where I'm like traveling all the time. I feel like I'm at that stage in my life where I'm more interested in having a base, but I am most interested in having freedom, like freedom of space. And being a creative person who loves freedom of space, I chose this line of work and I love it. I deeply, deeply love it. Every job will have its amazing, easy days, and there are going to be some days which are more stressful or have more things on, and like every role has that. There's no like perfect, like every day is just jolly. And because if there was, there's also kind of like, where do you grow from there? So this is still, I'm not saying that this is an easy role, that it's always smooth sailing and it's always a holiday, because you can be anywhere. But it is like, I would much prefer manage the challenges of something that I truly love, rather than manage the challenges of things that don't mean as much to me, or just don't have that much depth to me. So yeah, I hope you found this video helpful. I'm creating an ebook. It's called How to Create Good AF Content. And with that, I don't necessarily mean perfect content. My definition of good AF content is content that communicates well, that is honest, and has a lot of authenticity in it. And a lot of brands resonate with that. Good AF content is content that opens the doors to working with brands, or if you already work with a brand, serves those brands better. Good content is content that you can grow from. Good content is something that you can sort of go back into and sort of analyze a little bit and say, okay, this is what I can improve. I think creating content is all about your awareness of where you want to go, the skill set you want to grow into. And so this ebook, it's about that. It's not just about camera angles. It will have some tips on camera angles and some mind-blowing, like, simple changes that you can make around using your tools that will improve your content. But a lot of it is a lot to do with the psychology of content creation. Oh, am I a psychologist? No, I'm not. But it's about how the mind works in terms of you as a creator and how the audience responds. So it's about understanding your audience. It's about understanding the platforms that you're creating content for. And yes, it's just a very detailed ebook. If you like this video, give me a like. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.